All right, all right, all right. Is this thing on? Let's see. I've got a question for you. What if you can turn rideshare money into real legacy wealth for you and your family? That is the question that I have for you today. I'm going to show you guys as I reconcile my revenue from October. All right, all right, all right. It's this thing driving rideshare. I'm going to show you the revenue that I created, the amount of hours that I drove, and I want to ask you something as it relates to the economic times that we are in. People are struggling. AI is, doing what AI is doing, and people are trying to figure out whether or not they're going to be able to make it. And if you have a clean driving record, obviously, and you have a decent car, I forget what the parameters are for ride share, and I'm not talking about deliveries. For me, it is I do Lyft almost exclusively. In fact, exclusively for the last few months. And as you guys may have seen in some of the shorts that I've done around this topic of rideshare hustle, that I need to build about $7,500 in monthly recurring revenue in order for me to comfortably come off the road, still have enough money to reinvest back into my coaching program and my marketing agency. So I wanted to share some stuff with you guys tonight, and hopefully this will make some sense to you as it relates to not letting people judge you, or hopefully you guys don't feel embarrassed like I used to about driving right share. Here I am, had built a successful business and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in monthly recurring revenue in the direct sales and MLM space. And I made a pivot to come out of that space and started doing my own thing, creating my own products, creating my own coaching program. What I did not know is that they were going to change the compensation plan, and all that money went away, and rather abruptly. So I had to figure out either I was going to go get a job, or I was going to do rideshare to put money in the household so I can still take every dollar that I was making in my coaching business and my marketing agency, so I can put that back into the business. So I started doing rideshare, and it worked out for me. So I just wanted to share some numbers with you guys today. And I want to ask you some questions as it relates to, would you do rideshare for a couple years? Would you sacrifice, some Sundays, NFL and maybe some leisure time, maybe some sleep, to put yourself in position to build some real generational wealth? I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, so I'm going to just kind of open up the lift and just kind of show you guys. This is what I did for the month of October, right? So let's see. Can you guys see that, right? So a little bit, $3,814.82, right? And then if I scroll over a little bit, then you'll see, let's see if you can see down at the bottom. And I'm just trying to, I don't want to take my background off, but down at the bottom, it says I was online 109 hours. That means I drove 109 hours to make $3,814.82. Now I'm gonna pull out my calculator. I'm gonna show you something real quick. So if I divide that by 20, let's just say I don't drive no weekends, right? And a regular work week for most people is 5 days a week. So I'm going to round that up to 110 hours, and I'm going to divide that by 20. So that's an average of 5.5 hours per day, 5 days a week. Now, my question to you, if there was a clear path to you building generational wealth. And say you had to, in order to build this generational wealth legacy, you had to drive rideshare. And I know everybody's situation is different. I'm in St. Louis, so that means, we're in a big enough city where it works. This may not work for everybody, but just say that you could do something that can bring you $3,500 every month. And say your job is doing its job thing. It's taking care of all of your family bills. It's taking care of everything, but it's not creating enough income for you to save. My question to you is, would you drive rideshare? Would you sacrifice whatever you got to sacrifice for 2 to 5 years driving rideshare and put all of that money into some investments if it guaranteed wealth for you and your family in, say, 25 years, right? Because I got my handy dandy, investment calculator up, and we're just going to run through a couple scenarios because I've always been a no excuse type of guy, right? I don't take excuses. Where there's a will, there's a way. And believe it or not, there are people who are struggling. And I'm not talking about you struggling and you don't have a car, can't afford a car. I'm talking about there are people who are struggling and don't want to use their car to make a few extra dollars and put together something to the side. And this just started coming to me, y'all. I believe my greatest investment is into my own business, but I'm starting to rethink that. And I can probably put a couple $100 a week into some paper assets and just let that continue to accumulate. So let me just show you what we've been working on, what I've been just playing around with, so you can see the numbers for yourself. And you tell me if it makes sense or not, right? So watch this. So y'all saw that was 3,800, right? For the month of October, right? So I'm gonna see if I can show that again. 3,800, month of October. If I go to the month of September, that was 5,000, just a little over 5,000, month of September. If I go then to August, 4,596, just short of 4,600. If I go to July, 5,579, right? So in a big city, there is some significant income in rideshare. But I'm trying to imagine a scenario where if I was working a full-time job and that full-time job was taking care of my household, would I be hungry enough to say, you know what, I'm going to drive rideshare and I'm going to put all that money into an investment account. And I'm willing to do that for 2 to 5 years to make sure that if God called me home at the tender age of 75, right, that's like 25, 24, 25 years from now. I'm 51. So let's say 76, that'll be 25 years. So let's just say on average, right? You guys saw I did some $5,000 months, $3,800 a month. Let's just say I do, let's just say I do, what did I say? $4,000 a month, right? Let's just say my wife's job takes care of the household, but it's not giving us enough money beyond taking care of the bills, feeding ourselves, a little bit of entertainment. Let's say we got a comfortable life, but I want to make sure I leave my children's children something. Can I sacrifice, let's just say for 5 years, right? And I'm just going to give you some basic numbers. So for 5 years, I'm going to drive rideshare and I'm going to generate on average $4,000 a month times 12. That's $48,000 a year because if you like a lot of Americans, we're behind on our investment accounts because we just didn't, it's been hard out here for some people, right? So there's nothing in there. So say I did $48,000, and let's just say I only sacrificed to do this 1 year, right? And just say maybe the car got beat up, or maybe I just got beat down. I got tired of doing it, right? So I got $48,000 that I put into an investment account. I'm contributing $0 to this thing monthly, right? And then I'm just going to let this thing ride out for 25 years. And I'm going to say that there are some funds out there, places I can put the money that might average 12% rate of return, but there is some variance. So I'm going to say between the variance, I'm going to say between 10 and 12% is kind of where we hover, right? And then I'm just going to calculate and see what that $48,000 becomes in 25 years. Well, look at this, y'all. Look at this. $816,003.09, right? Now, I got 5 sons. So we're talking about them splitting that plus life insurance and then whatever else we got going on, right? But remember I said, I'm the type of dude that sometimes I go above and beyond. So what would it be like if I didn't stop at year 1, right? And I'm going to show y'all something, man, because I just think that sometimes because we don't see what's possible, what can come out of a little sacrifice, very few of us actually sacrifice what we could, especially those of us who say we really want to build generational wealth. So say instead of that 48,000, I'm going to say I did this 48,000 times 5 equals 240,000. Say I did that every single year for 5 years straight. I get through year 5, I'm out of gas, but I put every dime into an investment outside of, gas and maintenance. Just say I was so anal with it that I put gas in the car and I maintained the car out of the job salary, right? Because I wanted every dime that came from the Rideshare app to go into this investment. So we're going to do 240,000, right? Because that's what you could realistically do, driving Rideshare consistently 4 to 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, right? So I'm going to do $240,000. And I'm going to do, at this point, I'm no longer contributing anything into this fund, right? And I guess if we were doing it right so that you're earning interest along the way, let's just say we were doing $4,000 per month. And so we started with $4,000 in the first month, and then every month we're putting in $4,000, right? Because we said we can average $4,000 a month just doing 5 or 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, right? So that's you working a full-time job and a part-time job. That's all we're talking about. Now, you can mix this up, 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, that's 25 hours a week. You might just want to do 10 hours on Saturdays, 10 hours on Sunday, and have the rest of your week evenings to yourself. But there's a lot of ways you can mix this up. We're going to say that we're doing it $4,000, and we're going to say we do it for 5 years. Interest rate's the same, 12%, with a little 2 percentage points variance, and then we're going to calculate. So if we did that every year, instead of the 240,000, because we're earning some interest, we'd have $311,986, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this dollar amount and I'm going to say, okay, we did that for 5 years. So now I'm going to plug that in here. We are no longer contributing monthly to this thing. Now it's time for me to ball out for the next 20 years And I feel good because I know my family has got something going on. So instead of 25, we took 25 to accumulate. We took 5 to accumulate, so we got 20 years left. I'm gonna let this thing play out for 20 years, and what's gonna happen, y'all? That's $3,009,508. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. We're just kicking around and just playing a game of what if, right? So that's $3 million. Now, for me, the way I plan to set my estate up is this. I'll take half of whatever is accumulated upon my death, and half of it goes to my 5 sons. The other half goes to their children, the next generation, right? So we never empty out the fund, right? So I'm going to say we're going to go up here and say, now we're going to do 1.5, 1,500,000 is what we got left. The boys got their 5, they split 1.5 plus insurance and the businesses and all of that. But this is going to stay to make sure that the grandchildren have something. And then we're going to do the same 20 years. Well, for the grandchildren, we're going to go ahead and bump it back up to 25, right? 25 years. What does that become, y'all? Like, again, I know this is some old perfect case scenario stuff, but sometimes we don't move because we don't dream. That's all I'm saying. Now look at that. So in 2 generations, I went from broke rideshare driver to my grandchildren inheriting 25,500,000, right? Now let's just for kicks and giggles say that we're just going to do this for one more generation. Now, this does not take into account if my sons invested any of the money that I left them and they grew any wealth, if they started businesses, if they multiplied the businesses, if they killed the business, I don't know. I'm gone, right? But you can do this kind of stuff with your estate and trust and all kinds of stuff like that. But let's just say we take half of this 25 million and we're going to do one more generation, right? So we're going to do 12,750,000. I'm going to run it for 25 years. I'm going to do the same percentage rates, right? And then we're going to calculate. And now we're looking at $216,750,000. Now, I said rideshare because that's what's giving me the flexibility that I need to keep running my business, right? And by the way, I think I did almost 6,000 in the marketing agency and the coaching business, and then I did 3,800 in rideshare. So almost 12 grand, but not profit. See, the thing that I'm chasing, y'all, is monthly recurring revenue. I'm trying to get to a place where the MRR, the monthly recurring revenue, is $25,000 per month. Whether I get out of bed or don't get out of bed, all of my products, well, not all of them, most of my products lead to some sort of monthly recurring or some sort of subscription, because that to me is the real passive income. So could you discipline yourself for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and take some of the money, whether that money is coming from rideshare, whether it's coming from delivery, whether it's coming from some other sort of side hustle, selling ebooks, digital courses like your boy, whether you take a gift, talent, experience, expertise, whether you start a store, whatever you do, can you make some extra money above and beyond what it takes you to run your household? And can you exercise the discipline to put all of that money somewhere where that money is going to grow for you at a decent rate of return? Right? Now, I was tempted to show you some of the funds inside of Fidelity, but I think I better not do that. I don't want to get in any trouble, right? And I don't want the internet coming for me, and they're already gonna shoot holes in everything that I'm saying, because I get it. It's an oversimplification. It is perfect case scenario. You don't lose your job in this scenario, right? Your car don't break down and you just keep a good car. Like, this perfect case, but I just want to get your dream, and I guess. So since I last came out with the Rideshare Hustle series, my goal is in the next 6 to 12 months, get my monthly recurring revenue to surpass by 1.5 times the revenue that I bring in driving rideshare, so that I can come off the road altogether. I don't want to do it based on income that I can go and get. It has to be monthly recurring revenue, because I made that mistake where I quit my job based on the income I was able to go get, not necessarily looking at monthly recurring subscription type income that tends to have a longer shelf life, right? And I barely replaced my salary, right? So if I'm doing 7,500 in MRR, chances are I'm doing $20,000 to $30,000 a month in business, because in my business, my MRR is usually about 25% of the overall cash collected every month, right? So just thought I'd share that with you, man, and open your eyes to what's possible if you're trying to build wealth. Maybe you don't want to start a business. Maybe you don't feel you have the chops to run a business, but you got a good driver's record. You got a decent car. I'm telling you, rideshare isn't, it's time consuming. It's active income, just like a job. Like, I literally drive usually somewhere between 4 a.m. till about 9 a.m. 4 to 5 days per week, right? That's just my jam. And then from 10 a.m. till about 4 p.m., I'm doing my agency, my coaching, I'm meeting, I'm networking, I'm doing all the things to grow the monthly recurring revenue. And then sometimes, depending on what goals I have set for myself, I might go back out in the evening and put a few extra hours in. It just all depends. But and the times that we are in, hopefully you've heard something and you've seen something that calls you to be hopeful and not hopeless, because it's a mess out there, y'all. But there's still opportunity. There are still some things that you can do. There's still some ways that you can take matters into your own hands. And I believe that everybody should have some sort of income that they own and control. And rideshare is not 100% income that I own and can control, because I've had situations where somebody reported me and they killed me, they kicked me off the app, or they suspended me for a couple of days and stuff like that. So it could go away. It's not 100% in my control, but more in my control with the flexibility that I need than some of the other things, right? That's why I'm building a business. So I have 100% control of the income. As long as I'm serving customers well, I'm providing a valuable service, then I am in control of that. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you found value in this. Until next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more